love yourself, trust yourself, be open to possibilities. Life changes. It's always changing, but it's beautiful. And yeah, enjoy your journey most of all. Enjoy the present moment. That's the most important thing. The present moment is all we have. Don't worry too much about the future. It's not here yet. Stop reminiscing or worrying about the past because that's gone. Just enjoy right now.
Hey everyone, welcome to one more episode of Pinky J Podcast. Today I have a guest. Her name is Carla. I know Carla for years. I think I met her when I was a kid. She's my sister's friend. I follow her through Instagram, and her journey right now is so interesting to me. She awakened her spirituality. She backpacked across the world, and now she lives in Portugal. To me, I would never think the Carla I knew before versus the Carla now is so different, and it amazes me how your journey can change in your lifetime. So Carla, thank you so much for joining me today. Tell me a little bit about your journey.
It's actually funny when you're mentioning the Carla I knew when you were a kid, I almost don't even know who that is. And when I think of my journey and my story, it started for me when I was 29. It's almost like I was reborn. A lot before that, before my spiritual awakening is kind of blurry. You're kind of on autopilot and life is just happening and you're just almost not even there. As far as, I guess I'll start there when I was 29. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with astrology, but around that age is when you have your Saturn return, right? And then your whole life is a whirlwind in a great way for me. So at that time, I was in a pretty much dead-end relationship. I had been with this person for a long time, but I already knew it just wasn't right. But when you're used to being in your comfort zone and you're kind of just going through the motions. And one thing that really started this journey for me, I would say it was a physical transformation first, physical and mindset. I had been overweight my whole life, and it's something I really struggled with and something that affected all areas of my life, my self-esteem and just so many things. And I thought to myself, I was I'm 29, going to be 30. And I've thought about my weight almost every day since I was a child. And I was I need to do something about it. I can't just keep waiting and let life pass me by. So for me, it very much started as finally prioritizing myself, prioritizing my health. I started working out. I started gaining confidence, losing a bunch of weight this was March of 2019. And as the months went on and I just really started loving myself is really what I can explain it as. Anytime someone asks me, I'm start with self-love and prioritizing yourself and caring for yourself and doing what you actually want to do versus what people tell you to do. So once I did that, I lost weight. I felt great. I moved out. I ended the relationship on good terms. It was just clean slate. And I lived on my own for the first time, completely on my own, no roommates. And the process started that way. And it just kind of was rolling on. It just thing after thing after thing after thing started happening, because that's what I find for most people, including myself. When you finally wake up and wow, this is my life. I want to be the main character of my life and take care of myself, have fun, and just be happy. So as the journey went on, lots of things. I've started getting into the law of attraction. And I think once you start going down the road, things just come at you from the universe as you're ready. And you also might know that I'm super into psychedelics. So that was a part of my journey as well. I started microdosing psilocybin or magic mushrooms a few months later after that breakup. So that happened, and that was kind of the start of my spiritual awakening. I would say the beginning was more physical journey, self-love journey, confidence. So the microdosing and going on full length journeys as well, it awakened me to this greater truth that I wasn't aware with my conscious mind. And for me, anytime I talk about this, it's so hard to put into words, because when we're using our words, we're using our mind. And I find that a lot of spirituality, including a spiritual awakening, it's something that is beyond words, magic mushrooms. And then again, the journey went on. I started reading like self-development, spirituality book. The one that really did it for me was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. That book, plus psychedelics and self-love, really allowed me to see the world in a whole new light. I just couldn't go on continuing to do what I was doing. It made no sense for me anymore. At that time, I used to work as a nurse, and for a while I had known that it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. I enjoyed it, but it didn't align with a lot of my values. Yeah, again, life just took its turns. I decided pretty soon after that I was going to quit nursing and travel the world. I was like, you're just so empowered when you're in your truth, when you have these new, fresh eyes, you just like feel like you can do anything, right? Because you can. With these new, fresh eyes, I just had a new outlook. A lot of this is simple. It's just you find that most people don't do what they truly want to do because we're taught to be in this box. And unless you have a little spark, you're going to be in that box because you're too scared to come out of it, right? So the spiritual awakening happened. Once I started aligning my life with my new values, my new fresh eyes, things would come into my field that matched that vibration, I would say. Soon after that, I met my now husband, right? A person who felt way more aligned for me, felt so right, felt like my soulmate. I told him about my plans. I'm like, yep, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to travel the world for a year. At that time, I didn't know he would come with me. We were kind of just dating. A couple of months went by. He was like, I'm down to go with you. I was like, awesome. So in July of 2021, I quit my nursing job and I had no plans of going back. So I knew new things were happening. I didn't know exactly what. We traveled around the whole world for 11 months to a year. And during that time, we backpacked through Europe. Then we went to South America, Peru, which was amazing. We met like beautiful, like spiritual communities where we dived into more of this plant medicine work. So not only mushrooms, but like ayahuasca and other plant medicines. So more vision, like more new ways of seeing things. I would say all this stuff, whether it's self-development work, plant medicine, spirituality, it's really just a diving deeper into yourself, right? So since that time where I decided to put myself first, that's exactly what this journey has been. It's just diving deeper into who I truly am and then allowing myself to show up in the world as that version of me. Traveled around the world, Peru, all through South America, then Central America. Then we had this little hiccup after Mexico, but we got engaged in Hawaii. So many things. From Hawaii, we went to Asia, which I was so freaking excited about because I've never been over there. And there we spent a month in Thailand. Amazing. Met elephants. Then we went to Bali, and in Bali, we did a yoga teacher training, which I had been into yoga for some years now, but I never had any professional training. Same thing with meditation. That has been huge on my journey and mindfulness. And while we were there, we did a 200-hour yoga and meditation teacher training, which was incredible. What happened is, to me, it's beyond the physical, beyond the mental. It's more like a soul level transformation that expresses itself on this level. And even though it's soul level, at the same time, it's all like been intertwined.
And I love this journey because I just turned 30 and I moved out of my house and now I live alone. So we kind of have similar paths in a way. And I just awakened my spirituality. And you're absolutely right. Like self-love is the number one thing that we have to work on before anything else. I love how you just quit your job, and not many people will just quit their job and travel the world. Like you said, we are just in this society of we have to be at earning this much at a certain age, getting married, having kids, and we live in this box that I've noticed that all the experience and all the guests that I had, they're out of that box, which is amazing. So I want to inspire people like, hey, listen to these journeys. Everyone got out that box and your journey is great. Tell me more about the psychedelics and the mushroom, because that's also pretty interesting. So I don't know much about it.
I love psychedelics, plant medicine, and I have a special bond with mushrooms in particular. I don't know if I would be here if it wasn't for them. I think my life was going in its own directions once I started caring for myself and loving for myself. But psychedelics, again, it's so hard to put into words. I've never experienced consciousness through meditation, through anything else, the spiritual realm, until I started working with psychedelics. The first time I actually did mushrooms, I had no idea about them. You just like everything else, you go by what people say, and people project onto you like, oh, you do psychedelics, you're not going to have any control. Like in my mind, I was like, what am I going to see? What am I going to act like? There was this fear. So this was in 2018. I was in Hawaii. And of course you're in Hawaii, this beautiful place. And I don't even know what made us want to try it again. I was curious about them, but it wasn't something like it was at the forefront of my mind. That was my first journey with mushrooms. And I knew right then and there, there's something special here. This is not just you take this drug that people like to call it, and you just are weird and hallucinate. And it was fun, but it was just this beauty that it's almost like undescribable. You feel this connection, not only with the others you're with, you feel a connection to everyone. You feel a connection to earth. You feel a connection to yourself. So once that happened, I was super curious about them, but then I was still living in that autopilot type of life. So it wasn't until 2019 when I had that self-love. I was so empowered about everything. The universe kind of just started giving me what I needed. So psychedelics then came into my field again when I lived alone in my apartment. I loved it. I loved that space. I felt loved there. I felt open. I felt happy. So I started experimenting with going on mushroom journeys on my own and with microdosing. The most beautiful experiences of my life have been through psychedelics, I would say. It's indescribable. Yeah, you just feel like this connection for yourself, this love for yourself. It is immeasurable. And because we're so caught up being humans and being in our mind and focusing on the past and on the future, we lose touch with our true essence, like our soul, right? And psychedelics show you all that in a loving way. I mean, for me personally, I've had loving journeys. Yeah, so once I started experimenting with mushrooms more, I got curious about other plant medicines. And then again, I used to go to this really cute conscious place, cafe type of thing in Montclair. So I met more people in that same world. You start attracting this tribe. And I heard about ayahuasca, and it had been in my field as well. So actually right before leaving for our trip, we went on a 3-day weekend ayahuasca retreat. It just opens you up. And with ayahuasca, actually, it's more body-based and more you-based, meaning when I've done mushrooms, it's beyond Carla. It's beyond this world. It's like consciousness. And with ayahuasca, it gets to the root of you, of the things you've been through, right? Traumas that you've experienced, patterns that you may not be aware of or that you may be suppressing. So I think once I did that, it's when the more tougher inner work started happening as well, but also beautiful because you just learn so much, not only about yourself and about your past, about your family, about others, and why people do the things we do.
Now that I awaken my spirituality, it's such a different world. You want to break that cycle, right? I don't want to go through what my family went through, my ancestors went through. So it's such an interesting experience. And I know a lot of people don't believe in like the spirituality and all this. And it's fine. You believe what you want to believe in, but the spirituality world is amazing. I do Reiki. I don't do sound healing because I had a really bad experience.
You got to do what works for you. Everybody's different.
Yeah. The fact that you started this journey, because you wouldn't be able to do this without your spiritual awakening, right? You would be in the same circle, in the same routine over and over again. Would you be happy? Absolutely not.
It's a different type of happiness, right? Because when you're in autopilot, and when I say autopilot is when I had my spiritual awakening, what essentially happened, I became aware of myself beyond Carla, right? This might be a little deep, but if you read The Power of Now, then you might understand. I disidentified from my mind, meaning I realized that I am not just my mind. I'm not even just my body, right? I'm not even just Carla. There's this whole freaking world beyond, right? And you realize that true happiness and true anything, true joy, love, that is all within you. Whereas if you are used to being, or if you haven't awakened to that, you are getting these things, this joy, this happiness, temporary from external sources.
And why did you decide to move to Portugal out of all places?
So we knew we did not want to go back to our regular jobs. Our plan actually is we wanted to find a place where we can create a community of our own with like-minded people who are into these same things, meditation, yoga. And on our travels, we said, okay, we're going to travel to all these places. We'll decide on where we want to settle. So right away, my husband, Tony, he felt it here in Portugal. Right. We go and you start going by your feelings, not just your mind. Right. And as he was describing it, I've never thought that I would come back to Portugal just because I am originally from here. So I was like, maybe Bali, maybe a little different place. My mind was like, no, it's not going to be Portugal. But I kind of felt it too. I was like, let's see. It was the first place that we came to on our travel. So I was like, okay, maybe could see where the travels take us and if any other place calls to us. And after we traveled, no other place felt like home. And it also made sense because I have citizenship here. While we're looking for our place to build, we can stay at my parents' house. So it just, more so than anything, it was a feeling.
I love Portugal. I'm also Portuguese. When you were living in Portugal, it's such a different feeling there. Everything's so like natural and chill. I don't know. I just love Portugal. And you have great food.
Yeah, I really love it. Like the nature, it's a lot slower, as you can imagine.
Do you do any retreats yourself?
So that's what we eventually want to offer. I've been doing like online women's circles because I really enjoy that. But eventually that's what we want to offer is retreats. We're also not wanting to put anything in concrete. Like I don't want to force anything. I kind of, in life right now, I'm just going through the motions and seeing where we end up. So we do want to have retreats, but if it ends up happening that we don't, that's okay too. We want to have like places where people can stay and then have a dome, like this dome where we can do meditation, yoga, sound healing, or other like kirtan. I don't know if you've ever heard of kirtan, so different things, whatever calls to us, and whatever we feel called to share. So eventually that will be, and then whatever it morphs into, honestly, eventually I would like to hold medicine retreats because for me, they have been so impactful on my journey. When you learn about all these things that help you on your journey, you can't help but want to share it with people because you want to help them too, So eventually, if it works out, I want to hold medicine retreats as well with mushrooms, most likely. But whatever it turns into.
That's so cool. I would definitely go to that retreat. I'll be there. You let me know when it is. I love how you said you're going with the motions and you're going with the flow. And I think when you awaken the spirituality, like it's the universe, just go with the flow. The universe will place you in the right place, if that makes sense. Yes, okay, this is not happening, but it's not meant to happen. Let's move forward. Let's try something else. And that's what I'm learning now. I'm like, I'm not going to force anything. I'm going with the flow. Whatever happens, it's meant to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a hard lesson to learn because in our mind, right, we love to control everything and we think we always know what's best. And we get down on ourselves if something doesn't work out this way, but maybe you didn't go through this door because there's a better door over there that you're going to go through, right? But we're so used to controlling things because control gives us this sense of safety, right? So it's just natural human tendencies to want to control it. But absolutely, like I've definitely learned more than once on my journey that it's like the more you let it flow, the better the outcome is and the easier it is on your journey. Because imagine forcing, you're just kind of like fighting against the grain, right? And when we just let things flow, it's a lot more ease, a lot more joy.
Thank you so much, Carla. And if you guys want to reach out to Carla, I will tag her on Instagram. You can always reach out to her about her journey or if you want to learn more about spirituality. And Carla, you want to add anything else about your journey or to the listeners?
I just want to say to anyone listening that love yourself, trust yourself, be open to possibilities. Life changes. It's always changing, but it's beautiful. And yeah, enjoy your journey most of all. Enjoy the present moment. That's the most important thing. The present moment is all we have. Don't worry too much about the future. It's not here yet. Stop reminiscing or worrying about the past because that's gone. Just enjoy right now.